smart solutions. Add-on desire.
Hello viewers, welcome to our daily news analysis session. I am Lokesh Penigonda. Today's topics will be from The Hindu and the Indian Express. So, tips for your examination. Keep your sources minimal. Content from any sources. Whatever the content you are taking from, let's say newspapers, news analysis sessions, Yojana Kurukshetra, compile it and arrange it in topic and paper wise so that it will be easy for you to read. Practice mains and prelims questions daily. Fix syllabus of your target exam and by heart it. Today's quote: you will miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So our first article of today's session is the Haryana Reservation Bill. Haryana government aims to provide 75% reservation to the local people in the new jobs coming from the private sector. But this 75% reservation will be applicable only to such jobs which are paid less than 50,000 rupees per month. So for jobs having pay more than 50,000 per month, this reservation is not applicable. Also, Haryana is not the first state to start such reservations. We have already witnessed Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka bringing similar legislations. So, those who are in the favor of this reservation in private sector argue that the job should be given to local. That is, the first priority for private jobs should be given to locals because they are the sons of the soil. That is, they are living in the state from many generations and they should be prioritized for the resources of this state. Second, they state that if a company is mandated to reserve a particular portion of the workforce to the locals, even if there are no skilled people in the local area, the company will be forced to skill the local people and provide them jobs. Thus, there will be skilling to the local people. Next, growth in the state. In states like Maharashtra, we see millions of migrants. These migrants come from various states. What they do is, after working for long months, long years, they send some of the wages back to their home, to their parents and to their siblings or whoever they want to. So, whatever the money generated in the particular state does not totally come back to the state. So, in this case, as the jobs are given to the locals, most of the money generated in the state will be used in the state for its own development. Used for own growth of the state, own growth. So, next they argue that due to COVID impact last year, there has been millions of job losses everywhere. So, by providing jobs to the locals, there will be increase in the jobs to the locals. But there are many concerns raised against this. The private firms argue that there might not be enough skilled people in the local region. So these private firms say that we might be facing lack of skilled people for our workforce. They also say that to skill the local people, we have to use our resources, we have to use our time. So this increases the cost of our office. And as this reduces the competitiveness of the firm and its products, there will be a loss of investment to the states who mandate this reservation in private sector. Also, the firms say that if you have a mandate, if you have a reservation policy which asks you to do something and which will have checkups. So what happens is, let's say a private firm is not completely following these rules. So if a private firm is not following some or many of these rules, the private firm has to pay penalty to the state government. So what the private firm usually does is, rather than paying a bulk amount as fine to the state government, it will pay a small amount to bribe, small amount as bribe. So it will increase corruption and it will bring license raj in the state. Next, it prevents integration. India is one country. So when people are moving easily from one country to the one state to other, there will be integration of the masses. But as this prevents the jobs, prevents jobs to outsiders, that is people from outer states, it prevents integration of the country as a whole. Next, class discrimination. Class discrimination because as we've seen here, the reservation will be applicable only to those workers earning less than 50,000 per month. So it is not applicable to those getting more than 50k per month. So it is clearly a class discrimination. Next, it is against Constitution Principles Article 16. Article 16 provides that you cannot prohibit or you cannot discriminate any person on the basis of language, race, sex, place of birth. So as this new reservation asks for provides reservation to people who are insiders, that is who are in the state, it is against the principle of discrimination against place of birth. But what happens is, Article 16(3) says that Parliament can provide rules for government jobs on basis of living in that particular state. But this article is applicable only when Parliament makes these laws. This article is not applicable to states, that is state cannot make laws under 16(3). So thus this is clearly against the constitutional principles. So way forward, rather than bringing a law which will mandate to provide reservation to the local people, what the state governments can do is, they can promote education, skill development of the local people. So if you have a person who is well educated and have the necessary skills for any workforce, then he will have a opportunity to get the job. So there is no need for you to make any reservations. You need to promote education and skill development. Also, you need to promote startup ecosystem and investment facilitation. So what happens is, when you have unemployment, when you have low growth of jobs, if you promote startup ecosystem in the state, there will be new jobs, new firms, thus it will provide more jobs to the people living nearby. Also, by facilitating the investment, you will encourage the private firms to invest in your state. Ease of doing business reforms. By reforming your regulations of the state, by reforming and easing the regulations to start businesses in the state, It will provide an incentive to the firms to start business. It will be easy for the firms to start business in that particular state. Next, provide loans to start businesses to educated. We are seeing news stating that many educated people are not getting jobs. So if you provide loans to these educated people, they can start businesses. So by all these steps, you can improve employment, you can improve growth in that particular region. Our next article of today's session is Ease of Living Index. Ease of Living Index is given by Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. So what is this Ease of Living Index? Ease of Living Index is an assessment tool. It evaluates the quality of life and the impact it have on various urban development. It provides for a comprehensive understanding of the participating cities across India based on quality of life, economic ability, and other factors. The assessment also includes the residents' view. Here, it is showing that 70% of the weightage is given to 13 sectors. These 13 sectors are education, health, housing, shelter, wash, mobility, safety, security, recreation, level of economic development, economic opportunities, and other factors. And 30% of the weightage is given to the perception of the people. 30% of the weightage is given to the citizen perception. So based on this ranking, it categorized states into two. First, the cities which are having a population of million plus. Next, cities which are having population less than a million. On the basis of states which are having a population less than a million, Shimla got first, and second Bhubaneswar, third Silvassa. For cities having million plus population, first is Bengaluru, second is Pune, third is Surat. So this index helps in increasing the competition. So this index is not only increases the competition between states to rank better, but it will also help the states to know where they are lagging in. Also, the states can share the best practices. Next, along with Ease of Living Index, Municipal Performance Index is also given by the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. This index seeks to examine the local government practices in municipalities across areas of services, finance, policy, technology, and governance. It seeks to simplify and evaluate the complexities in local governance practices and promote the ethos of transparency and accountability. So this Municipal Performance Index seeks to increase the governance practices and transparency. This index takes into account 20 sectors. These 20 sectors are shown in this image: education, health, water, wastewater, sanitation, registration, and some other sectors. So based on these rankings, the first ranking is given to New Delhi Municipal Corporation. This is ranked under the category of having less than a million population. So the second is Tirupati, the third is Gandhinagar. So of the cities which are having a million plus population, the first rank is to Indore, the second is to Surat, and the third is to Bhopal. Similarly, Even this index will promotes competition among the participating cities and the participating states. These participating cities will know in which sectors and in which areas they are lagging, so they can improve. The cities which are ranking good, they can share the best practices to other cities, thus improves the overall living index in the country. Way forward, the government, that is the central government, should incentivize the states to do more by providing funds linked to these rankings. So what can happen is the central government may say that the states or the cities which are ranked well in the index will be getting more funds. So it will create an incentive to the government of the states to work better. Second, support states and cities with technology and human resources. The central government may support the states and the cities with newer technology and best human resources it has. In this article, we are talking about OTT platforms. The center, that is the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, he has clarified certain rules regarding the IT new guidelines issued last month. So the minister has clarified that there is no registration of OTT platforms. He is saying that the OTT platform does not have to register under any government rules. Second, the powers are not delegated to states. It is in the context of last week Manipuri government asking a particular social media platform to locate the origin and to delete some content of a post. So the central government has clearly stated to the Manipuri government that whatever the rules which are brought by the center, these rules can only be exercised by the central government and the Central Ministry of Information and Technology. So the powers are not delegated to the states. Third, there is no government nominee in the self-regulation mechanism. So the new rules mandated that social media platforms and OTTs will be mandated to have a 3-tier redressal mechanism. Regarding the 3-tier redressal mechanism, we have videos from in the yesterday and day before yesterday's news analysis session. Please go through that. So of the 3-tier redressal mechanism, the second tier is self-regulation by the OTT platforms. Government has clarified that there will be no nominee of the central government or the state government in the self-regulation mechanism portal. Next, Yemen. This article is regarding to the Yemen. So in this image, you can see that the whole of the Yemen is not under the single government. The western part are being controlled by the Houthi forces, which are being labeled as rebel forces. The southern part is under the government of Southern Transitional Council. This Southern Transitional Council is being backed by the United Arab Emirates, and these are the conflict zones, and all this area is under the control of the Yemen government. So these articles talk about why there is a need to stop the Yemen war and what we have to do. Yemen is a country which has a population of 2.92 crores in 2019. The new president of America, after getting elected, Mr. Joe Biden, has taken these steps regarding Yemen. First, he said that he will stop weapon sales to Saudi Arabia, because what happens was the weapons being sold to Saudi Arabia, these weapons are being used by the country to target the Houthi forces, the rebel forces in Yemen. Second, he appointed a special envoy to Yemen. Third, he removed Houthis from the list of foreign terrorist organizations. America under President Donald Trump has seen that has witnessed Houthis being labeled as a foreign terrorist organization. But Mr. Biden has removed Houthis from this list. So, war in Yemen has led to more than 10,000 deaths. It led to nearly 50,000 people starving to death. It led to 16 million people being hungry. It also indirectly led to a famine. So, the World Health Organization and other countries in the Western Europe and in America are bringing funds to help Yemen to come out of this humanitarian crisis. So, they wanted to raise 2.5 billion nearly, and of that, they are able to raise only 1.3 billion. However, the money raised by the government and the health organizations could not be directly used for helping the Yemeni people, because there is a war, there is a civil war going on, and Saudi Arabia has created a blockade in this region. So, in the last 5 to 6 years, what happened was Saudi Arabia and its allies are bombing Houthi forces. They had a embargo in Yemeni areas which are under Houthis, but still in the last 6 years Saudi Arabia could not make Houthis leave Sana'a, the capital of Yemen. So what happened was, in the last 6 years, Saudi Arabia and its allies are continuously bombing the Houthi controlled areas, but still the Houthis are able to manage and withhold the areas they are in control from the last 6 years. In the image we have seen the areas they are in control of. So clearly the Saudi Arabia strategy is not working, because still the Houthis control a large part in the western part of the Yemen, and now in the southern part of the Yemen, we are seeing a southern transitional council. So the Saudi Arabia strategy of having an embargo and bombing the Houthi forces is not working. Also, what we are seeing is Houthis are targeting Saudi Arabian oil fields and refineries. So there is no one clearly winning the war, but there is loss of life and damage to the property. So what is needed? First, US should pressure the Saudi Arabia and its allies to stop bombing and to lift the embargo it has created near the Yemen. So this will help in sending supplies. The supplies may be food, medicines. Next, it will create a confidence in the Houthis. Houthis said that only after lifting the embargo, they will start peace talks. So this will create these three advantages. So this image shows that what happening in Yemen. If Yemen was 100 people, among the 100 people, 74 would need humanitarian aid. 57 would have no access to clean water or sanitation services. 60 would be food insecure and risk of famine. 10 of the women and children would be acutely malnourished. 27 would be at the risk of contracting acute water diarrhea or cholera. 53 would have no access to health services. To prevent this furthering, to prevent these issues, we need to put an end to the Yemen civil war. Next, this article is talking about INSTC. INSTC is the International North-South Corridor. This was created way back in the 2002. This was created way back in the 2002 by India, Iran, and Russia. The objective of the North-South Transport Corridor to increase the bilateral trade and to reduce the cost of travel. So in this image you can see that from Mumbai, if you have to send goods to St. Petersburg, that is in Russia, traditionally this route will have to cover all this way to the Red Sea, to the Mediterranean Sea, to the North Sea, and to the Baltic Sea. So this route is nearly 20,000 kilometers long and it will take around 45 days. But if you look into the North-South Transport Corridor, it is just 7,000 kilometers and it will approximately take 20 days to transport goods. So what happens is, due to lessening of the distance, there will be lesser cost for transport. It reduces time, distance, and the cost. Also, as the goods are being sent faster, there will be lesser usage to use refrigerator wagons. Refrigerator wagons are needed to transport commodities which last for a smaller period. So if you want to use it for longer term, you need to use these refrigerated wagons. But now, as the distance is reduced, the time is reduced, there is little use of using refrigerated wagons. So look into this image. The International North-South Transport Corridor starts at Mumbai. It goes from Mumbai to Bandar Abbas. It is a port in Iran. So later it will go to Baku and then Astrakhan. It is a Russian port in the Caspian Sea. Later, the goods will go to Moscow and later it will reach St. Petersburg. So this whole distance has been reduced and now this distance is being considered. So the Mumbai is the southern hub of the route. The route will extend to Bandar Abbas in the Iran via sea. Then later it will go to Bandar-e-Anzali. Later to Astrakhan. It is in the Caspian port, and later it will go to Russia, and from there on to countries like Kazakhstan and other Central Asian countries. So these are the advantages of this transport corridor. Next, prelims questions of the day. Which of the following either are correct with regard to INSTC? Pakistan is part of this project. No. Pakistan is not part of this project. It will decrease travel time between India and Russia. Yes, this is true. So the answer is only 2. How many Indian states share border with Myanmar? Is it 3? Is it 4? Is it 6? Is it 5? The answer is 4. Because if you look into this image, you can see Myanmar is being bordered by states like Arunachal Pradesh, Nagaland, Manipur and Mizoram. So only 4 states border Myanmar. Next, India shares second largest border with which of the below countries? Bangladesh, Nepal, China, Pakistan. The answer to this question is, as the question is asking, second one, that is China. So a small formula to understand and to remember the countries which are sharing borders with India, that is Bachpan, MBA. BA stands for Bangladesh, CH stands for China, PA stands for Pakistan, N for Nepal, M for Myanmar, B for Bhutan and A for Afghanistan. It not only gives you the idea of the countries which are sharing borders with India, but it is also, reducing or descending boundary, that is the first country has the largest and longest border with India. The second has smaller boundary than the first, likewise. Next, Global Competitiveness Index, sometimes seen in the news, is published by, is it OECD, is it World Bank, is it AIIB, is it World Economic Forum? The answer is World Economic Forum. Next, previous year's prelims question. Biological oxygen demand is a standard criterion for measuring oxygen levels in blood, computing oxygen levels in forest ecosystem, polluting assay in aquatic ecosystem, assessing oxygen levels in high altitude region. The answer is C, polluting assay in aquatic ecosystems. Next, mains practice question. First, significance of International North-South Transport Corridor to India and Central Asia. Discuss. Providing reservation to local and private jobs is not the solution or the panacea for all the problems. Explain. That is the end of this discussion. Thank you.
Add-on solutions. Add-on design.